So far, we have covered two excellent frameworks. First of all, SAMM, focused on application security and scoped around building and managing applications and software systems. Then the broader NIST cybersecurity framework, which helps you structure your overall cybersecurity program. All of that sounds pretty complete. And the question is, what else do we need and what's left to solve, right? Why both frameworks keep coming back with metrics? Let me illustrate the remaining challenges with an analogy. Imagine you are cycling from Belgium to Armenia, which is a distance of roughly 5,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles, crossing across multiple countries. The security frameworks we've covered, SAMM and CSF, are like Google Maps. They help you navigate the security landscape, but just having a map isn't enough. First, you need to know where you are. In cycling analogy, you're going to use a GPS. In security, that's your assessment. Your SAMM or CSF evaluation is going to give you a starting point. Next, you need to know where you're going. That is your target posture, your CSF profile, your destination. But even with a starting point and a destination, even if you have an actual navigation of the path, there are still a lot of remaining issues to solve. First of all, you have limited resources. In cycling, that's your stamina, food, water. In the security world, your security team has only so much time and budget. And it's not just about resources. You need to be fit, you need to know how to fix your bike if it breaks down, and bring the right gear. In security, you need skills and tools. And most importantly, you need a process. If you're cycling, you need to plan for weather, road safety, terrain, rest, stops. In security, you need a way to move from a, let's say, SAMM score 0.9 to a score of 1.5, step by step, while you're also managing emerging risks and staying aligned with the rest of your organization. Okay, so what about metrics? Now, during your cycling trip, you're gonna need to track some metrics, otherwise you're not going to make it. For example, you need to balance at the very least your supplies with the average energy use or how much you need to eat per day. In security, that means making sure your team isn't overwhelmed, not becoming a dumping ground for every security issue. A good example metric here is, for instance, security issue burn down rate, how quickly you are resolving issues compared to how fast they are coming in. If you are a serious cyclist, you might track your fitness level. In security, that could be your awareness score, a measure of how well people in your organization understand and apply security practices. And of course, you'll be watching things like your average speed, distance to the next rest stop, or in security terms, that's your roadmap, your milestones, your quarterly planning, and how you're adjusting it based on the feedback and the reality. Now, to sum it up, SAMM and CSF are the maps. They give you the full picture. They can tell you where you are through assessments. They help you figure out where you need to go, your target posture or target profile, but they don't really tell you how to go from point A to point B. Yes, SAMM does provide guidance on how to improve through its maturity activities and quality criteria. It gives you a direction from A to B, but the path isn't always obvious nor linear. And that's where metrics come in. Metrics help you prioritize. They give you insight into where your biggest risks or gaps are, so you can focus your efforts more strategically. They help you demonstrate results, for instance, showing a drop in security regressions after rolling out specific controls or learning practices or training. And they are key in making trade-offs. Security is about managing limited resources, and metrics help you optimize your return on investment with real data and data-driven decisions. And as the quote goes, you can't manage what you don't measure. Or if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. And there are a lot of variants of that quote. Here is some good news. There are some excellent resources out there to help you make sense of metrics and apply them in practice. Here are my 3 book recommendations. The first one is called Guide to Advanced Empirical Software Engineering. It is a collection of research papers on the science of metrics. The second book focuses on risk management. It's called How to Measure Anything in Cybersecurity Risk. The book introduces an approach based on the so-called interval scales, where risk is expressed in dollar terms rather than the often used categorization of risks as low, medium, high, or critical. That way, risks become comparable, addable, because let's face it, if you're using ordinal scales, which is low, medium, high, or critical, it is difficult, I'm going to say it's impossible, to claim that 10 lows have any equivalent in terms of medium, high, or critical. So you cannot really add them up in any way. And the third book, A Beginner's Guide, Security Metrics, is an excellent, as the title suggests, guide for beginners using security metrics. It explains why metrics matter and how to communicate them effectively to different stakeholders, whether it's the CISO, the dev team, the executive board, or anyone else.